I lost the audio on this one. So this is the removal of the old radiator and installing the repaired one. Basically, here's the radiator out of the car. You can see the timing case cover. And down at the bottom here is the bypass valve. So this is basically just a spring and a gate. And when the thermostat is closed, the water's forced through there. And the thermostat goes up top by my thumb and basically goes down there. This is the water pump. I thought somebody in the future may need to see this because it's kind of confusing. There's the packing down in there. Here's the impeller. It's in pretty bad shape. The shaft's pretty worn. This is out of this car, and that pump is out of a different car. This is a thrust bearing. The shaft doesn't go in there. The impeller rides on top of there, and you can see where it's scored up. This is because somebody ran this out of adjustment. That's a good sign right there. Radiator's back in. Everything's hooked up. It's about half full of radiator juice. Now the way this cooling system operates is basically down in there's that bypass valve. And you know what's going on here is the water pump is pulling from the bottom of the radiator, bringing the water up through the heat exchanger, forcing it up into the engine and pushing it out the top. And you know, that way you deal with your bubbles and everything. The thermostat's here. So when the thermostat's closed, you're taking and you're circulating water down, you're forcing it down through that bypass valve, and then it just continues the loop. When this loop gets to 180 degrees, then this guy's going to open, and you're going to circulate through the radiator. So you're going to take all of your coolant that's already been cooled by the fan, and you're going to bring it this way, and you're just going to skip that bypass valve because that's a directional valve, and it only passes in one way, as it's a directional valve, of course. And that's pretty much all there is to that. I don't see any leaks. I think everything's good. Keep the fingers crossed. Gonna let it sit overnight. See if anything oozes out. But at the moment, I think the true test is gonna be when we fire it up and it starts circulating. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. No leaks. Kind of surprising. But I guess then again, I did go through everything. So, yeah. Water pump not leaking. I got some high strand count wire in the mail today, so I got that swapped out, as well as the one down into the generator. And that wasn't fun to get that snake through. So right here, this is that water pump adjustment. And if you look at this connection here, there's about 10 thou play right there roughly. And I think that's about where you want it. This here is the adjustment for that. So if you have one of these things, be really careful right there. This is pretty much banked off of here, the front of the coupling. When it's in the back position, it's banked off the back of here. where that thrust bearing is. And if this is too far forward, then you're basically forcing the impeller into the back of that, or the face of that bearing. So, you know, that's where that other one is all scored up and burnt out. It's because this is not adjusted right, and I think that's a good amount of clearance, because if this thing, as this thing heats up, you know, it's going to grow, and you know, so I think you want some clearance. I just don't think that you want, you know, too much, because it's going to be bonking around back and forth. So, you know, the thing to keep in mind here is that there's a fiber gear up front that drives the generator. The generator, then you get the worm gear that runs the distributor. It goes over to this Lovejoy, and then you're off to your water pump, and that's the end of the line. If anything goes wrong here and this binds, you're basically going to shut the car down, because, you know, once your distributor stops, once the generator stops, you're going to basically seize up that fiber gear up front. And you got to be careful of those things. It's the original one in there. You can get replacement ones, but I think the thing is, when you start looking into them, the ones that are the original are fiber cast around a steel hub, where the replacement ones that are available are all fiber. So I think there's a little bit more reliability in the original ones, you know, as long as they're not wiped out and falling apart. But you know, it's kind of a job to change that. I think, you know, that whole front cover, you know, is actually, you know, the front motor mount. So, you know, you're getting into like jacking the engine up, you're ripping the radiator out, you know, a lot of work. We got it cleaned out inside, in the front anyway. The back's still all kinds of fun, but yeah, it's looking like a dream in here. Really nice. Got the key switch, or not the key, that's the key switch, right? The ignition, sorted. Took this apart, and I think that goes in, oh, light. I think that goes in and locks the wheel, actually. There's a switch behind there, and she works now. And then there's a rat's nest up in here. And I don't know if you can see, you can kind of see. Yeah, Smokey the Bear. So that's the back of the ammeter. So I'm just going to run power to there now, and over to the starter button, which is over there somewhere. And in the back of the key switch, which is here. So I'm only going to be running ignition, generator, and starter primary for now. And you know, you don't need all this other stuff, you know, options. You see our upholstery here is very nice. Your Sunday best. That. Stuffed with asbestos, probably. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, and it almost looks like, you know, lavender and pink. It's if I something kind of white next to it, yeah, I think you can almost see it right in here. But I just thought that was kind of interesting, that color. I mean, it's so faded and filthy at this point. This is the most goddamn dangerous door hooked here. Look at this door. I mean, everything about that wants to slice you open. I mean, it's horrible. There's things, like all these things grab you. And it wants to go this way, of course, right? So you open it for a minute. And it's just trying to like impale you with all of, I don't know, botulism, tetanus, what the hell is it? Anyway, the fan's back in, and the shine factor's way up on that. So, that means it's gonna work good. We're still doing good on everything else. We're not leaking any coolant. I'm most of the way full. I think I got another about a gallon to put in, and then, you know, of course, once the thermostat opens, I'm just going to drink a whole bunch more. But actually, probably not that much. I think it's backfilling through the water pump. Who the hell knows what it's doing? What else? You know, just cleaning, degreasing. It's disappointing. Went to unscrew on the starter button, and she didn't have a lot left in her. Stupid thing. That's what that's supposed to look like. And talk about craptastic. There's just nothing good going on there, huh? The whole thing is just pitted and rusted and dented. I'm sure those bolts are going to be happy to come out. I guess this would be the That's the fender, so this is the passenger side one. Oh, something's happening. Yeah, that's that one. Oh, wants it back. Yeah, I don't know what you do about that right now. I don't know why, but that amuses me. So we got the generator hooked up, wired up better, right? The ignition's hooked up. There's our shiny starter button. Still wrapping up some wires under there. And fusible link on the starter, and then another one over on the generator. And if you got one of these things, I would highly recommend you put some fusible links in. It's pretty cheap insurance. Put one there and put one over there on the generator. Has been found, and I found one of the things that covers the bumper bracket, but at the moment I don't know where that one is. It's probably in the back, or who knows. The continuing on with the electrical system, I got just the distributor and the generator hooked up, and the starter. So let's see if my button works. Actually, I should see if there's any sparks here. That's just the ignition coil. Let's see if we get contact. Oh God. Inside car starting. Isn't that a luxury? I'm so goddamn tired.